Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 495. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra. And let me just tell you, it's a weird time of the year. Charlie is traveling to CheeseLand right now for his new job, so he won't be able to join us, but I'm sure he's going to be listening to this and tell us how well we did once this is released. But with that, I put the bat signal up, and I got two awesome people to join me. These are returning champions to Secret Friends Unite. So let's bring in our first Mr. 1 Hour, 1 Decision, Mr. Chris John. How are you doing, buddy?
I am doing all right. Thank you for having me again, Todd. I know, you had to call in the bench warmers a little bit, but that's fine. We're happy to be here and excited that we're in October talking about spooky stuff, maybe.
Yeah, it's Shocktober. It's Sunday the 13th, which I don't think is that spooky, but we'll take it since we don't have a Friday the 13th in October. And then we're also joined by a fellow horror maven. That is Mr. Clint from Spreading the Nerd. Clint, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing very good. Thank you for having me back here. It's awesome. This was one of the first podcasts that I was initially invited to, so it's awesome to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I love to have folks on that I know have a good time, have a broad array of interests, and it's always a good time. So with that, I just want to let everyone know that we are dangerously close to our 500th episode. This is year 10 of Secret Friends Unite, kind of crazy. And so we're going to be hopefully going to be doing something very fun for that episode. Don't know what, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless. So if you've been with us on this journey, we've been on Patreon almost 2 years, and it's been a lot of fun having awesome patrons who make this show possible. Basically, if you're Patreon, you get all the good stuff, no ads, you get Discord benefits, and then you also get some really cool new content that we're up to. We just recently launched our fantasy football podcast, the Waiver Wire Wizards, which has been a lot of fun. If anybody is a fantasy football fan playing a league, we are looking for guests as well if you'd like to join us. And then we also have Walk Nerdy with Me, and then our regular array of shows, including Spinner Rack. We just did a cool cover of a Comixology original horror comic called The All-Nighter. So if you're interested in that, check that out. So with that, I just want to say thank you to our awesome people, our besties, Derek Trevelyan, a.k.a. The Figure Dude, Francie, a.k.a. April's Hairdresser, Xbox Expansion Pass, Mr. Luke Lore, Charlie's Uncle Tim. Yes, he gets our podcast on CD. And Friends with Benefits, John Sedorf, Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, Brandon Myers, Corey and HD, Matthew Keel, and our Secret Friends Super Squad, Sean, Stella, and Henry and Nias. I also want to say big shout out to Brendan Myers. He's going through some difficult stuff. And I just want to say, Brendan, let us know if you need anything. And thank you for being part of our community. And I also want to say thank you to our newest member on a trial. That's Shehab. Shehab, thank you for checking us out. Hopefully you'll find something to enjoy and stick around. Well, with that, gentlemen, we get into We Got This Covered. So I thought this cover would bring out some interesting opinions from all of you. So I'll break this cover down, and I want your opinions on this. This is from September 1967. This is Batman 195. And the cover's pretty cool. Can you imagine a villain so evil, so menacing that even Batman shrinks from him, and we don't even dare show the rest of the spark-spangled see-through man? Batman's cringing in the corner. We've got a 1/4 view of a skeleton with sparking hands, or maybe it's not just a skeleton, but maybe he's just see-through. I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's see-through. We can see his glowing green skeleton. That's all I know. So what do you guys think happened in this comic book?
Oof. Man, I don't know. The first thing that jumps out to me on this one, though, that the scariest thing to me is that people were able to pay 12 cents for a comic book, and I wish I could spend that much on a comic now.
Agreed.
That's not even a penny a page.
That's ridiculous.
Man, the spark spangled see-through man. That's like a tongue twister. Say that 5 times.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it seems definitely like there's some sort of chemicals involved. Maybe some like explosion, because like DC was really into that, right? Like chemicals with like the Flash and with the Joker and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, Clayface, exactly. So I feel like this is probably another one of those, like something horribly goes wrong, and now we have a guy who is, I guess, walking around naked.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's something to do with like changes his pigments or something, because the skin and where the the muscle tissue is it's just white, and then you see the green skeleton. So it's like
he probably could have just wore clothes.
Yeah, it's like a ghost with a skeleton. I don't know.
He could just wear like one of those ski masks and a hoodie, and no one would know, right?
Yeah, he'd just be like the Invisible Man.
But he doesn't even have eyeballs, I guess, or you can't see his eyeballs. Right. There's no muscle. There's no tendons.
I wonder if the artist just wanted
radioactive.
Yeah, I just wonder if the artist wanted to like practice his anatomy or something, and he's just like, this is an opportunity to do that. I don't know.
I'm really big on skeletons this month. Let me draw him, Julius.
Exactly. So.
Well, at this point, I couldn't tell you if, and I guess his real name was Bag of Bones. It's his first appearance. Don't know if it was his only appearance. So quite honestly, Bag of Bones, if you guys, man, James Gunn, bring back Bag of Bones.
That sounds like a James Gunn kind of character.
It definitely does. Like somebody, the Suicide Squad characters they bring in. Yeah.
I think Gunn definitely do him justice for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, come on. Well, with that, oh my goodness, gents, we're in for a good show. It's Shocktober week 3. We're going to be talking about an awesome movie. But before that, we need to check in with our gal pal, our senior news correspondent. So without further delay, Madam Webb, take it away.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. It's spooky season. Madam Webb, I believe you might have some trademark infringement, because I believe your preferred name is Bag of Bones. So, so we'll see how that works out. You and DC may be going to court. And quite honestly, you're pretty much see-through anyways because your skin's so thin. But I don't want to say anything more. So with that, we get into our first story this week. My goodness, folks, I am a huge Green Lantern fan. That is my favorite solo DC character. Green Lantern has been, one of my favorite characters. Unfortunately, the one thing he's lacked is a decent live action appearance in a movie, a TV series, anything. Well, we are now learning that Kyle Chandler has been cast as Hal Jordan in the DC series for HBO called Lanterns. We also were notified at the same time that we're getting John Stewart has been cast as well, from the lead actor of Rebel Ridge, I believe is what it's called. Yep, let me look up his name, because I thought his name would be in the story as well.
Adrian, I think.
I'm looking it up. Not sure why it wasn't included, because the casting was pretty much announced at the same time.
Aaron Pierre.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron Pierre. Yeah, so, and the way this show was described as, it was going to be essentially True Detective crossed over with Green Lantern. So basically, kind of like a buddy cop type of thing. They're going to investigate a mystery. Hal Jordan is the old, weathered Lantern. John Stewart, he's basically training him, so there'll be some conflict. Maybe like, what's the training day? Maybe like that. Yeah. It'll be very fun, a reverse training day. Yeah. Yeah. So Kyle Chandler, obviously known from Friday Night Lights. And this is going to be interesting because we've got the showrunners are pretty awesome. Chris Mundy, he was the guy behind Ozark. Damon Lindelof is also behind this, and Tom King is involved too, and he's an amazing comic book writer.
Heavy hitters.
This is really, it's basically they're two intergalactic cops drawn to a dark Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. It's going to be an 8-episode series, and this should be really interesting, considering the level of talent involved. Max, if they've got the right people behind it, James Gunn has been really solid at picking the right people to do projects. So I'm excited for this. So beyond my fanboyism for Green Lantern, what do you two think?
So I don't have fanboyism for Green Lantern just because what I have seen are the live stuff that they've given us, and it has been very mediocre at best, from not a fan standpoint. So I saw this news come across like threads and a couple threads, and people were starting to like there was a lot more posts on it than I thought there should be. So I paid more attention, and then I noticed like,
Oh, Clint, you're making me sad. Why are people getting so excited for this character?
well, because because like I said, all I've seen is the movies. I've never read the comics themselves. I know
Okay.
of the character and what how
Yep.
he conjures and stuff, the powers and stuff, which is awesome. But like I said, I've only seen the live action stuff. But once I started to see who they were bringing in for this, I was like, okay, I'm definitely interested. And I was kind of looking more into like past comics and stuff like that. Just obviously scratching the surface, but it's definitely looking interesting for sure by the couple of the articles I read. Definitely. So and it's
Okay.
HBO, and for me, HBO with their series have been really, really awesome lately. So I'm excited.
I'm really curious if this will go like to a TV MA
Mhm.
or something like that. Because if they're really going for True Detective, like how dark will this story be and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about this. I think the casting has been really, really good. Like, he, oh God, the character, you just said his name, Kyle Chandler. I think he looks like an old, weathered Hal Jordan, which I think is great.
Mhm.
And Aaron Pierre, I think I watched Rebel Ridge. I'm like, yeah, I could totally see him play Jon Stewart, at least the Phil Lamar version of Jon Stewart, who's like very like
Oh, yeah.
stoic and like he gets angry. He can get hot headed and stuff like that. But yeah, like I could totally see. I think there's great casting, and I'm excited. And then you tell me that all those guys are involved with this, like on the production level. Like I'm sold. I am sold at that point. And yeah, like if this is anything like, I might be stealing a little bit from Clint, but the Penguin, like I'm like totally down. I'm totally down
Yep.
for that. If they
Yep.
have that kind of production quality and stuff like that, like
Mhm.
I think this will be great. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, the director that's going to be directing 2 of the episodes, his name is James Hawes, and his resume is pretty good too. He directed an episode of Black Mirror, actually 2. He directed 2 episodes of Alienist, Snowpiercer, Raised by Wolves, Slow Horses. So, dude is a solid director. He's been behind really solid projects. So that gives me hope. And Chris, I think you're right. I think this may lean into the more mature, like True Detective shows like that, even like Watchmen. I love the
Oh, that
Watchmen
was so good.
series.
So good.
And yeah, so I think, I think it's time. I think it's time for, but not like edgy, dark. I just want solid.
It could be a mature story.
Right.
Like, I mean, if they're, I mean, I'm curious how they're like because the character Green Lantern is kind of goofy, like in a way, like it's just a guy who's got a ring, charges, like he has to charge every once in a while, and it's like yes, and then they kind of expanded it out that it's like he's got this whole Green Lantern Corps, and so there's more of a like
they're space cops,
space cop like part of it. So, so that makes it a little bit more like it could be a more grounded buddy cop show and stuff like that, but with a little bit of a dark twist. I don't know. I'm curious to see what kind of villains they'll have in this too, because I'm not very like other than like the Yellow Lantern. Like I don't know who else his like big bad guys are for them and stuff like that, and how this all loops in together with the rest of Gunn's DC universe. So.
Yeah, I'm excited for this because that was a big gap. We have not had Green Lantern around since Ryan Reynolds. So, but there are some good animated series on Green Lantern. There was the Green Lantern series that was on WB back in the day, which was really good with Hal Jordan. Then we also had Justice League Unlimited, and then Justice League, the cartoon. That was amazing. And Jon Stewart was the Lantern in that. So yeah, check those out if you're interested. So next story, man, everything's coming up, Todd. This is like, they said, Todd, what would you like? And I said, I'd like this, that, and the other. And my Christmas list is almost complete. Henry Cavill has been cast to lead the Voltron. I guess, is it a movie or a series?
It's a movie.
This is adaptation.
Oh,
So that's vague. It's something live action. Henry Cavill, obviously, we've got Geralt, we've got Clark Kent, and then he was also in Mission Impossible, a few other things too. And he's also going to be in. Was he supposed to be doing a Warhammer project as well?
Supposed to be doing that. Yeah.
They're supposed to be. They're still like they were fighting back and forth, and they were canceling at some point, and then they're like, "Oh no, we're back." And I think with that as well as Space Marine 2 did, I think they're pretty much like, "Yeah, we should go ahead with this." I think so.
Oh, was it Amazon that was pushing back? Was that what it was?
Yeah, and in typical Henry Cavill fashion, was like, "I'm not doing this unless you stay to the lore type of thing." So, which is great.
Yeah.
So, I hope it happens. I know they're definitely doing. What was that series that the Amazon's doing? Like a bunch of shows. Oh no, what's that?
Oh, based on the video games.
Yeah.
What is that called? Yeah, because it's gonna have a
Concord.
There's a Concord episode that's gonna
bring
it
back from the dead.
Yeah.
Really?
But yeah, there's definitely a Warhammer episode in there of that one. So yeah, hopefully it does continue.
Yeah. It's called. Oh, I don't know. Secret Levels. I think it's called Secret Levels.
I think that's it.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and especially. I think video games now are getting to the point where we'll see how they work in regards to different mediums. TV seems to be the sweet spot. Movies still a little clunky at times because we've just got really Mario and Sonic for video game movies that have done well. I mean, is there another video game movie I've missed that has done well?
No, not that I can think of. There was a Silent Hill movie, but it didn't do well money wise. It was okay, but not.
I know that one's coming back.
Yeah,
Street
Prince
Fighter,
of Persia, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh god,
even the Assassin's Creed movie didn't do well.
All the
Doom
director movies.
Tomb Raider, would that be like the best live action performing with Angelina Jolie?
What about Werewolves Within? We talked about that.
Oh yes, werewolves. Yep. That was pretty good. Low key. Yeah. And I know World of Warcraft or the Warcraft film did very well in China.
I liked
that
movie.
It too.
It was all right. Yeah.
And then what is it? Gran Turismo just came out, right?
Oh, that's
I haven't seen that, but I've heard it was
decent.
It was okay.
Reviews.
Yeah. It was okay.
Well, I guess we have got to veer back onto this though, because this is not a video game movie. This is essentially it's an anime. It's one of the first anime I think that a lot of people were introduced to in the 80s, including myself, little Todd. Voltron is based on the Go Lion series, which then they took other series that weren't based on Go Lion, merged them together, and kind of made the Voltron cars, if you remember that. It wasn't Voltron. They weren't even Voltron, but then they had a crossover. There's been a bad 90s cartoon, CGI, horrible. And then they just recently had a Netflix series, animated series that got really good reviews. So now we're getting this live action version. There's never been a live action Voltron. This is coming out. It's kind of weird because at this point, is Henry Cavill just going to be like the lines will form Henry Cavill?
I'm okay.
Maybe that's what I was like.
He'll wear some weird makeup.
I mean, who is he going to play? Like, because these are the characters are all fairly young, if I remember. Like the pilots.
Yeah, most the leader. He's he's the leader in the Black Lion suit. But yeah, they were all kind of younger.
Yeah.
I hope they have the mice because the mice were the best.
Have to have the mice.
Karan, the old guy who's grumpy and never wanted the lions to go off and fight. Princess Allura, Pidge, Hunk, Lance. Anybody else I'm missing? Oh, Sven, who died, I think.
Oh, spoilers!
Spoiler alert!
Sorry. That's how Princess Allura got to be a lion. Yeah. So I don't know if she set that up or not, but. But yeah, this is happening. I mean, the bad guys, the row beasts, kind of silly. But I mean, I don't know. I just this could be a huge mess. But I mean, it's going to be at MGM Studios, so this is probably going to be a movie then as
Yeah.
well. Rawson Marshall Thurber is going to be the director. He directed, well, this is kind of weird, Skyscraper, that rock joint. He directed Red Notice, that Netflix
Rock joint.
movie. He directed Dodgeball.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And Central Intelligence and We're the Miller. So he started off with a lot of comedies, and then he went to doing a little bit more over the top action films. So I don't know. And this is a fun fact here about this director. I'll give you this, then you can tell me. Basically, remember the Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He played a role as the Voltron vendor. It's so bizarre, but that's true.
Yeah.
So basically, everything I've told you about this, Henry Cavill, this director, and the little snippet. What do you think?
I'm super excited just because I'm a huge Voltron fan. Like you said, for me it was the first initial like anime cartoon style that got me into that, and I was hooked. I remember running around with a stick pretending I was Voltron out in the middle of the woods, and absolutely loved it. So super excited. I'm a huge fan of Henry Cavill, anyways. So I'm hoping that it's going to be good. We'll see.
I mean, I don't think if Henry Cavill comes on board to something, he usually takes it pretty seriously, or he like really believes in it. So, hopefully it's good. And yeah, like that was probably like one of the coolest toys I had when I was younger, and it was just like it was so cool to put that thing together and then watch the show and see all that stuff. I'm excited. I'm cautiously excited, but we'll see. Because you know how sometimes you have a great idea and then someone in the production company or whatnot will be like, some executive will be like, no, we need to do this, and it's just completely throws it off course. And maybe Henry Cavill will leave mid production.
Oh God.
Well, I mean, you got to stay true to the source material of the 40-year-old anime that was had the best writing in the world. So maybe he's going to be pissed off that Hagar, the space wish, wasn't true to character.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fun part is though, I was looking at what else Henry Cavill's up to. He is going to be in Highlander. So basically rebooting that series.
Yeah,
so that will be interesting. Hopefully we get Queen back for that. Then he's going to be in Guy Ritchie's In the Gray, which Guy Ritchie is either making something good or making something else.
It's so bad. It's so odd. But anyway.
And then also by Amazon MGM Studios is the Warhammer 40,000 movie, which he's an executive producing. So it makes sense that there's some synergy there. He's working with them anyways and casting them in projects. So we will see how this goes. But I'll be there for that theme song. It'll probably be remixed by Machine Gun Kelly, and then we'll all be sad. Okay. We're going to another reboot. This will be interesting. If you're a fan of the sexiest man in the world, Glenn Powell. I don't know how you feel about this project, though. I am excited because Edgar Wright, which I love Edgar Wright, is basically remaking The Running Man. It's coming in 2025. Katie O'Brien is in this cast. Glenn Powell is going to be leading it. And the funny part is that The Running Man is a book written by Stephen King, I think under his pen name, Richard Bachman. The Arnold Schwarzenegger version is not true to the source material,
right?
But still a wonderful film, goofy, weird, strange. And at this point, essentially, this is funny. I don't know. What do you think? Do you want something more similar to the Arnold Schwarzenegger version if Glenn Powell's in, or do you want something a little bit more like dystopian, a little more, down to the source material, a little bit more realistic, or a little bit more real stakes?
I mean, I want. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Chris. No, go ahead.
I want another Edgar Wright movie because he's a great director. And if he's also involved with the story, I know he's going to try to be close to the source material. And yeah, I'm just excited to see where this goes because give me more Edgar Wright. I'm always down for that.
Yeah, I'm the same with Chris. Give me more Edgar Wright, and I'll be there. But yeah, I hope it does more the source material. I want to see more of that than the Arnold movie is, of course, a classic in my household and my family type of thing. But I would definitely like to see more to the source, so it's not just a actual remake, but almost something new.
It allows the separation so people can enjoy both of the
Yeah.
films in different ways.
So we're not getting an opera singing Electric Man.
That'll be an ending credit scene or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny when you read about the original source material, the description. It's about a man who reluctantly signs into a reality show run by the government, televised to an eager audience, hoping to earn money to get medicine for his ailing daughter. And then there's obviously assassins, part of that. But if you think about it, it sounds, and they even mentioned this, it's kind of like considering where Squid Game is, which is more grounded, a little bit weird and freaky. It's kind of, you see some inspiration there. And if people really love Squid Game, which they do, this could be really solid. And Glenn Powell, he's been known to be kind of like tongue in cheek, a little bit more smirky, kind of like a Harrison Ford type. I'll be curious to see him play something a little bit more straight, dramatic, less goofy.
Mm-hmm. The other part of it, apparently the book takes place in the year 2025.
All right. We're here. We are here. Well, after the election, we may be looking forward to that. That's how you get pardoned.
It might be based on a true story.
Yes, it is. Everything's on TV. Everything's coming up orange. Yeah. And by the way, I always say this to people. If you want to watch something extremely fun, Glenn Powell's first big role was on Scream Queens. Fantastic TV series by Ryan Murphy. Great fun slasher series. Love it. Glenn Powell plays Chad Radwell, and it's the best character in the world. I just love it. So check it out if you want something a little bit fun. Really love that movie. So 2025, let's look for it. We'll see how this goes. Next, this is kind of interesting. So we're getting a new DC animated project, and it's basically starring two Robins. This is going to include basically Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. It's called Dynamic Duo. The interesting part, and this is, James Gunn posted about this, but it's going to be, it is going to be an animated theatrical film, which we typically don't get. I think the last animated movie we got based on a comic book property was obviously Spider-Verse. Before then, it was like the Lego movies with like Lego Batman. And this one is going to be interesting because they're going to be using not necessarily traditional animation. They're going to be using like they call it a Swaybox technology, or the Swaybox's studio. They're going to use technology called Momo Animation, which is a cross between CGI animation, practical elements of stop motion, and live real action, real time performance. I've never heard of this before.
I wonder, so is it going to kind of look like those a couple of those video games that have been announced recently that are like the stop motion type of thing?
Oh, like the
Harold Halibut was like one of those that was like fully stop motion, and then I don't know, that was weird, but it was good.
The whole like live action part of it, like how do you mix it? Could be interesting, that's for sure.
The last time I remember with some live action, remember the old Lord of the Rings animated films?
Oh my god!
I think it was the second one, Ralph Bakshi. Like they had like rotoscope animation for like real actors to be in that film, like playing like a lot of different characters. It was a freaky movie, but when they did the ring race, they looked kind of different, like live action. So this is kind of cool. But this is between Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. Obviously, we have their story, their history. I'm just not sure how many people. I mean, Jason Todd's getting bigger and bigger all the way out there. I just don't know if he's really known by the broad movie population, by the populace. I don't know, but he's been getting a lot of love in Titans and other series in a lot of the Batman family. He's kind of a mainstream character now. He was also in Gotham City Knights as a playable character in that. So it will be interesting. And obviously, if anybody doesn't know, Jason Todd was essentially killed by comic book audiences because they did a comic book, basically a call-in number. Should the Joker kill Jason Todd? And the audience said yes. The Joker should kill Jason Todd. Yeah, I don't know if that 1-800 number or 1-900 number probably still exists, but check it out. So do you guys have a favorite Robin? Is this of interest to you?
I'm more interested in it in the fact that like DC and Warner Brothers is taking a risk, like you said, on that style. I think it could be. I think they'll do it right, and I think it'll be really rewarding for them, and it'll be something that sticks out over everything else. So I think you're going to get a lot more fans that aren't even like DC that'll be interested in it, I think. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's they're definitely trying something new. I mean, we've seen success in kind of new styles of animation people get excited about, like with Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse, and then even the newer, like the Ninja Turtles movie had that kind of quirky animation too. Yeah, I'm excited to see, and the two Robins, because there's definitely there's some tension there because Jason Todd's all messed up from whatever, getting beaten in the head a couple times by the Joker and all that fun stuff. So, well, maybe not. It's not fun, but but like the idea is that like there's going to be that tension right there. So I'm excited to see where this goes. So
I just put a link in the chat, and I'll put it in the show notes too. This is what Swaybox test footage looks like. So if you look at that, it's really funky. It's different. It does look like it's almost like the Leica Studios kind of look, where it's a little bit more like almost like claymation. It's kind of cool. So
yeah, I was just looking up one too, and apparently the NFL Super Bowl commercial was kind of like that too. So there's one that shows like how it was made. So yeah, I think it could be really cool. I think it could be awesome. Now that I see how the live action world works with it, it's almost like augmented reality almost.
Yeah,
it is. And they're in a real, and that is so weird. It's cool.
Yeah,
I like that. I think it looks really neat.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So check out Swaybox Animation. If you guys just do a search for it, there's test footage, there's videos. So if you want to see what we're talking about, but now I see it, I'm like, that could work.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Paranorman and like what Leica does. So I dig that. Yeah. All right. That movie, I don't know if we've got a release date, but it'll be coming out to theaters, which is very cool. We did also get the Teen Titans Go to the movies, which I enjoyed that movie too.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. This one's a little bit not necessarily a news topic, but it is kind of appropriate for Shocktober. And that is the worst movies in the greatest horror franchises. So I thought this would be interesting if you agree with these or if you have examples of your own. So the first one is Exorcist II: The Heretic, a movie that probably should have never had a sequel, specifically with what they did with this movie. It's not the same director. It's got bring back Linda Blair, and they basically made it focus on hers, but it wasn't really about the demon again. It was a little weird. Kind of reminds me of like Halloween 3, kind of going off kilter a little bit. I don't know if you guys seen this.
It's been a while, but I have seen it, and I remember it being terrible.
Apparently it says Reagan saving the day by doing the Gangnam Style dance.
My God.
The only way to purge demons.
Yes, it's a good dance. Then we have Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Once again, Friday the 13th is a series that I know of, but I never really got into it that much. But I've seen trailers of this.
I think that's a good pick for the series, but for me and the Jason ones, I would say it's going to be Jason X, where he's
That's what I thought. I was
In space.
oh my god,
with the metal mask.
oh my god, that one is rough.
It was so. I mean, maybe because it was so bad, it was good.
Maybe, yeah, one of those
I don't-
deals.
like, this is ridiculous.
Oh god, I did. Next one is weird because I didn't even know they made 4 of these. Omen 4: The Awakening in 1991. We've had Omen remakes. We've had that. I just didn't know they had 4 movies.
Oh.
I knew they had 2, but other than that, I did. Have you guys seen any of these?
No.
I've only seen the first one, and then they had one come out in like 2006 because they released it on like 666. And that one was okay.
Love it.
But I haven't watched like 3 or 4. And was it The Omen they just remade too, or like not remade?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did the prequel, which I've heard is very
that was good. That was good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's on Peacock or something like that. So if you want to see it, it's called. I can't remember what it's about the how Damien was conceived.
Yes,
I think that's more
it
of
is
that.
really good. It is good. But I can only imagine like The Omen 3 and 4 are probably I don't know.
Yeah, what else are they going to do?
Can you though? Because I'll tell you what they said about The Omen 4.
Let's hear it.
The Awakening is a gender-flipped retelling of the original Omen. This time it centers around Damien's secret daughter, Delia. The greatest part, though, she's depicted as secretly evil by casually eating a Barbie's face.
What?
Oh,
I might have to add this to the watch list.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It was a made-for-TV movie. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Child's Play 3. Was this the one where Chucky was at he went to the military camp or the military school?
I think so. Yeah, it was like the kids like was it reformation camp? I can't remember. They're like they're bad kids, so they're like, oh, I think that's the one, right?
That's the military school setting. Yep. That's the one.
1991.
It's funny.
Yeah, that one was that was a special one.
Apparently, this movie, Child's Play 3, this was at the military camp. It came out 9 months after Child's Play 2. 9 months.
Oh no!
Really? Wow, that's impressive.
Man.
How could it not be good?
God. Oh boy.
It's a shame.
Filmed at the same time as like the second one, or what? Jeez Louise.
It's so weird because with the Child's Play movies, I don't even know how many there are now because they don't have sequel numbers. They have like Ellipsis, Bride of Chucky. Then didn't they have like they had a remake with Audrey Plaza as the mom.
And they've got a series now too, I think.
Yeah.
On its second season.
It was just canceled too, and I watched
was it?
a little bit of it. It was pretty good, but it got
decent.
really weird.
Oh.
It's on Peacock. It's on Shuddered. So if you wanna watch it,
Check it out.
it's there. But yeah, Chucky got weird. There we go. Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers, 1995. I don't know if I remember seeing this one. Oh, this one had Busta Rhymes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
In it, and
Paul Rudd.
Wow. Paul Rudd. Yes. All right.
He looks exactly the same from 1995. That's
exactly. And apparently, Donald Pleasant. This was Donald Pleasant's final film. So he came back in 1995, and as the finale of the Thorn trilogy of movies. I don't know. I've never seen this, or I don't think so. And this is the 6th installment too.
It was pretty bad. I'm surprised Halloween. I think it was 3, where Michael wasn't even in the movie.
What?
3, yeah, with the masks.
Yeah.
That was a cool movie. It was just definitely.
It wasn't Halloween.
Well, someone mentioned though that they said Halloween originally. It was not supposed to be just centered on Michael Myers. John Carpenter was supposed to be making like an anthology series of movies. Like the first one would be like Michael Myers. The second one would be something, but because Halloween with Jason became so big, it just didn't work out. So then they decided, well, 3, we can do this. And obviously nothing to do with Michael Myers. creepy mask factory with the government. It's an interesting film, but definitely feels out of place. Yeah. What about H2O? Was it H2O with LL Cool J?
God, that was rough too.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Then we go to Scream 3, which I like all the Scream films. As bad as they get.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, it's basically I can't really say much about it other than I don't remember much about it. But the funny part is it did have Jay and Silent Bob show up.
That's weird. So confirmed they're in this world, in this universe.
That's fantastic. So does that mean like the movie Clerks is like in the background, like the store Clerks?
It's part of the Skew-niverse, View a Skew-niverse universe. Yeah, Bluntman and Chronic, Cockknocker, they all show up to take on Jason. Take on Clownface. Oh yeah, great. Okay, other than that, let's see. We got Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. I never saw this. Jackie Earl Haley. It just seemed like they were going for more of a serious take than the quippy Freddy, and I don't think that works, does it?
No.
Yeah. No. Was that the one with Yeah, that was the guy from
Watchmen.
Watchmen, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I remember it just being okay.
Oh, they say, this funny. They do say it goes too far with the humor, the one-liners. So I need to see this. I really need to see this. Because I don't know why I skipped it in 2010. I mean, well, what else was I going to do in 2010? I should have seen this movie. So I will see it. So I don't know if, and at this point, there's other ones, Saw 3D, the final chapter. Anytime you go 3D, you kind of know the series is over, like Jaws 3D.
Jaws,
Hellraiser has had far too many bad movies than good. The most recent one was horrible. Leprechaun Origins.
Ooh.
Were you curious about?
No, I was not.
Hood. Goes to the Hood. Wasn't there a Leprechaun in space too?
I'm pretty
probably
Warwick in space, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know they made another Phantasm movie. I know there's like 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, Leatherface. I don't know. Any others that you would say is a sequel that you think is one of the worst in horror?
For the franchise that I love, Alien Resurrection really got piled me for myself.
Was that the French one?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that one really made me sad.
Chris?
Yeah, I honestly, you know what thing is, I'm a big baby, so I don't really watch too many horror franchise movies or whatever. But I guess like, how about any of the Paranormal Activities? Any of those?
Pretty much all of them after the first or second.
I was gonna say. Did they even make them? Oh, yes, they did. I've forgotten about them. Yeah.
They like tried to reboot it too, like 3 or 4 years ago, I think, with a direct to like Paramount or something movie. I never saw it, but clearly it didn't reboot the franchise.
What a shame.
Mine would be, this is a fairly recent pick, but the recent Halloween trilogy. I love the first movie.
Yeah.
The second movie I just didn't know what was happening in that movie. So many just like, and then third, it was so frustrating. So I'm like, I loved what they did with the first film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, very, very odd selection. Well, that is it for the news. Hopefully you enjoyed our look back at some questionable sequels. But it's not questionable. The place we're going, and that's the Geek Easy, to get our geek on. So let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So Chris, kick us off. What you been watching or reading, man?
I didn't write it down, but I did finish the first issue of Absolute Batman, and that was quite good. It was interesting. Scott Snyder writing it in an alternate universe where apparently Batman's jacked, like super jacked, and he has no money, and he's just like a kid from Crime Alley kind of thing. So it was pretty interesting, and yeah, almost kind of like well, now I think about it, more like almost like Spider-Man in a way. He seems like
okay.
a pretty smart kid, but just like a kid in like urban in an urban environment or whatever. So yeah, it's been pretty cool, pretty interesting. They do definitely change some stuff up.
No wonderful toys. I know he's got an axe. Like his
He has
symbol comes off and becomes an axe.
Like his whole suit is like just weird. Like I mean, they kind of explain some of the stuff. Like his cape is kind of like wings of a bat, like that he's built and constructed so he could use it to like fling people around and stuff. He's more brutal than I've seen Batman be before, but he's still not killing people. So there's that. But yeah, like it's a pretty good introduction. You follow Alfred and for a little bit of the story, and it's like kind of in his eyes, and you see Bruce and stuff like that. So Alfred's
because obviously he doesn't have a butler. So what role does Alfred play in it?
So Alfred, they go back to Alfred's like military background. So he is I guess some sort of like secret operative or something like that for some. And there's some pretty cool stuff that happens in it. Yeah. And I mean, I think you should read it. It's definitely got some weird stuff going on. And then in terms of stuff that I'm watching, finally got around to watching this anime. I'm probably going to butcher it. Jujutsu Kaisen. It's, I guess, about some kids that they battle demons and stuff like that. They're oh god, they're not wizards, but they're something like that. Anyway, but they do like they do all that stuff, and it's at least from what I understand, the first season is very much like a shonen style anime. But it gets pretty dark, but then apparently season 2 gets really crazy. And then also watching Only Murders in the Building, the most recent season. Yeah.
Okay.
So
perfect.
Super excited about that, and like it's been good. And the other thing I've been watching slowly, but is the Sopranos docuseries Wise Guy. I don't know if it's a whole docuseries, or at least I watched the first episode. I don't know if it's just a 2-parter or whatnot, but pretty interesting, especially since I didn't watch the show. But it was like I'm curious about the
making of,
creation and making of, and all that stuff. So that was the thing. And rewatching. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Is that really just it's just behind the scenes, or is it really what is it? David Chase, is that the creator?
Yeah, so it's like the director of this docuseries is kind of interviewing him and like just understanding like where these characters came from, and kind of going through that with him. So they kind of I guess they kind of set it up in a way that he's Tony sitting at the psychiatrist's office and stuff like that. So David Chase is Tony in this particular situation, and yeah,
nice.
So
are you intrigued to watch the series now?
Yes and no. I don't know. I mean, how many seasons is it? I don't remember. Like 6, 4,
something like that.
Yeah, maybe I'll get around to it. But it's just fun to sometimes just see how things are made and some of the struggles like that had to have happened to make this go. And then finally, I'm rewatching Tulsa King season 1 to just go watch season 2, and let that kind of
the Sopranos of Oklahoma.
Hey, look, I mean, Stallone does a great job on the show. I think it's pretty good. It's a pretty well written show too. So I'm excited to get back into it and see what's up.
That is cool. I'm glad Sly has some gas in the tank.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Clint.
All right, let's see. Reading for comic, I didn't put it down in here, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit this because I am a huge Star Wars fan, and I was scrolling through threads a few months ago, and someone was like, "Oh man, Dr. Aphra is such an awesome character and stuff," and I was like, "Who is this?" and I feel awful because I finally, looked her up and stuff. So I bought like the first comic collection edition, which had like I don't know, like the first 3 series running in it or something. Um, and I haven't read all of it yet, but it's really starting to close to already being like one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. Just
Wow.
awesome. It's like it's kind of like a mix of Han Solo and Indiana Jones, but in Star Wars. And the character's very anti-heroine and uses people to serve her own interests, but also helps people. So I'm loving that. So I can't wait to get more into that comic book series for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, I've heard great things about it. A lot of people rave about her, like she's the best character, basically, to come out of Star Wars in quite some time. So that's awesome. I mean,
good.
Hey, make a video game based on the Star Wars.
Yeah, please. Give me a
will she
live
show up
action
in
everything.
Yeah. So I'm curious if they'll ever put her in a live action.
I mean, she could have been maybe in Outlaws.
Could
Or maybe she could have been. Maybe it should have been about Outlaws. Should have been about her.
Yeah, because she's in the timeline with Darth Vader and stuff in there. So, but definitely, if you're a Star Wars fan and somehow haven't managed, definitely check that out because it's fantastic. And then I just finished the first 3 books of Red Rising Trilogy by Pierce Brown, and it's basically. Do you remember the Red Faction games on the PlayStation 2? It's basically that with a sprinkle of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And with a dash of Hunger Games. Very, very, very good. And it's a 6-part. After this initial trilogy, he took a break, and now the next 3 are 10 years later, but with the same characters. So I'm definitely interested. It's just like people in Mars have been lied to. Their miners are like, oh, Mars will be ready to be able to be lived in, 100 years from now once you're working and stuff, because they keep them down in the mines. And then come to find out, Mars has been flourishing for hundreds of years, and there's a color system of like golds, blues, violets, and it's like people's rank, and golds are considered like gods almost, and multiple planets have been taken over and moons have been, so there's like this whole like Red Faction Rising thing that take over and stuff. It's very cool.
Nice.
So yeah,
kind of reminds me of The Expanse with like the belters and basically the working class taking over. That's cool.
Yep. So after I finished that, I just started that's funny you mentioned The Expanse. I just started James Corey's new book where it's 2 guys that write The Mercy of the Gods, but I just started that, so that's his new series that he's starting. So, but just started that. I'm only like 4 chapters in. It seems good, so I'm sure it will be, because I was a huge fan of The Expanse. So, TV wise, been watching The Bear. I finally get into that with the missus. We're on just starting season 3 now. Absolutely love that series. It's so good. And I think in season 2 there's like a Christmas episode with Jamie Lee Curtis and stuff.
That's the last episode I've watched, because I'm like, that episode was a gut punch.
Yeah, like I was in the couch, I was laying on the couch, and like I don't have anxiety or anything, but watching that, I felt like I was sinking into the couch, and I was like, it quite possibly some of the best TV I've ever watched. I felt like I was right there, and I was like, this is just nuts. Like I had to take a breather after that. I can understand that was the last one you watched, because I was just like, I need a break. Like this was rough. But
if anybody has family holiday drama, you will relate. Not every episode, not every Christmas is in Thanksgiving is bliss.
Spectacular performances throughout the series on everybody, but that episode was just oh my god, it's just insane. So I've been watching that, and then the Penguin on Max is on episodes 3 episodes now.
I think the 4th will come out.
Should be
so every Sunday. I think every Sunday.
So I wasn't sure what to expect from it. I love the Batman with Robert Pattinson and stuff. And I love Colin Farrell. but I wasn't sure what to expect from it. And
You don't even
so
see
good.
Colin Farrell.
No.
It's
No.
crazy.
I see the.
Yeah.
I've seen the makeup done when he's in the
Yeah.
chair, and I'm like, I still don't believe it's him. I
still
still don't believe it. I think it's another
That's
actor
him.
doing it.
Yeah.
The voice, even it's like
Yeah.
there's nothing
Everything
in that
was
voice.
voiced. Yep. There's no mannerisms that you can, like
Nope.
pick
Right.
out that's him, anything like that. They did a fantastic job, and obviously he did too.
Yeah.
But that series has definitely surprised me. I really, really like it, and I'm invested in it for sure.
Yeah, I was like, when they renounced it, I was like, why? Like, what's
Yeah,
the point of
yep.
this? And then, like, funny enough, that I apparently the influences are like The Sopranos and stuff like that.
Yep.
And you could, I mean, watching the docuseries, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see it. I was like, okay, I can see where they're
Yeah.
going with that. So
It's hard to believe that the what's her name? The crazy
the
sister
Hangman, yeah,
Hangman. Yep.
Falcone.
yeah,
Falcone.
Sophia Falcone,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is the love interest or the mother from
How I Met Your Mother? Yeah.
It is.
Is it really?
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Because her eyes and everything, I'm like, oh, that's her. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Man.
I was like, and she does really good in that show too.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Terrifying.
That's
She's
very
a terrifying woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just great. And I love it because somebody brought this up. He goes, like, is Oswald really smart? Or does he just think fast on his feet? Like, does he actually have this mapped out? Or is he just like, once he gets in the crap, he's like, okay, I'm gonna, like, is he just a survivor? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet either. If he's like some mastermind, or if it's just like you got lucky, quick thinking there. I don't know.
I feel like he is a
Exactly.
quick thinker, though. I feel like that's what it
Yeah.
is. Because even when he's talking to the kid, he's always like, oh, you gotta react,
Right.
you gotta think on your feet and stuff like that. That's why hopefully that's where they're going with that. But yeah,
it's very cool. It's an interesting relationship with him and what's his name, Victor. No.
Victor, yes,
Yep.
that's right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just a really cool relationship and how they started. And I love the fact that the penguin drives a purple Maserati.
So good.
That fits. I love it. Because it's like, yeah. But then you see what he does. He has a Volvo station wagon to be undercover, which is very smart.
Yeah.
You know?
And also
'Cause
his room, like in his apartment, is like that safe, basically.
Yeah.
So cool too.
Yep. And his mom is basically one of the she's like a Sopranos character.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, now you see how horrible these people are because of their parents. Oh well. Yeah. All right. Well, myself, I finally got around to watching this movie Smile, which came out like 2 years ago. Because I know the sequel's coming out, so I'm like, oh well, I should catch up. So watched it yesterday. It's so clear that I was just watching. I was also watching something else, which will relate. I'll get back to it. I've been watching the greatest horror series on Shudder, where every episode is a different topic in horror. So they did J horror, and one of the directors there basically they said he views horror as one of three endings: you either go insane, you become the villain, or the world ends. I'm like, okay. That's what the Smile was.
Yeah.
The Smile was the holy cow. You just feel so bad for the heroine of this tale.
Mhm.
And you just don't know. And then when it ends, I'm like, holy cow. And I would say this movie it's psychological horror for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's one sequence at the end of this film that's like, oh, they went there. And it was creepy as crap. And then you see what happened. And I'm just yelling at the screen to, I guess it's her ex-boyfriend. I'm like, do something. So it's really interesting. But the premise obviously is the psychologist has a walk-in patient who is paranoid, and she's talking about all these bad things. And all of a sudden, she has a mental breakdown and she's smiling. And that leads us into why it's called Smile. And there's a sequel coming out, which looks interesting because it's about a pop star, which is interesting, especially after seeing that horrible movie Trap, which is about a pop star. That was a horrible film. But yeah, I'm really interested. So it's on Hulu right now. So you want to watch Smile, check it out there. But I was really intrigued, but man, it was I felt exhausted after the movie because you just felt like so horrible for this. Yeah.
They had
something
great
that's
marketing
more fun.
campaign, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that smile and just the way they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like where like they had the people just standing in like baseball games, like just doing those creepy ass smiles, like, oh God, what is going on?
God, I love it. Then it's something a little bit more fun. Scariest Houses in America on Max. This is a great series. So it's basically a sequel to The Ugliest Houses in America, which is hilarious. It's got Retta from Parks and Rec. Treat Yourself. She is the lead. She is hilarious. She goes to these houses. The previous one was like finding the ugliest house, and then they redo it. Well, this one's the scariest houses in America. And this is hilarious because she doesn't like being scared. So every time they get the chance, they do something scary to her. And it's just fun to see her react. The first episode was in the region of like Northeast. So Clint, kind of your network, your area. So Rhode Island, Boston, I think New York. Or New Jersey, one of the places. And one house was an old, like 1795 house that had a well inside of it. And it was still open. I'm like, and he's like, yeah, and I've been scared. And I'm like, somebody's going to fall in that well, like the ring. But it was awesome. Exactly. And they're like, yeah, I know it's haunted, but I talked to the ghost. I say it's going to be okay. So the second house was like, Hansel and Gretel, like witch type of house. When you looked at it, you're like, this looks like a fairy tale house. And it was so weird because the house was just so angled oddly. It looked like a death trap. And it had a third floor, but the only way to get up to the third floor was an elevator that this guy, he said he built it together out of scrap parts.
Oh, no.
That's the only way to get up there. And it's this tiny little spot. And I'm like, well, how did they get up there before they had the elevator? Because they had a ladder. And then the last house was a jail. It was a 1908 jail, which the front of the house looked Victorian beautiful, but it had a jail attached. So basically you walk through one door and then there's all the jail cells. And someone had wrote on it, "Welcome to hell." It's a great show. And then
I know that when you're talking about that building, actually.
Yeah, and so it's on Max, but they see the three houses at the end of every episode. One of them gets basically selected to then go to the final competitions. They'll get $150,000 to like resurrect or do whatever to the house. Maybe get an exorcist. I don't know. But it's a very fun show. If you like those type of like kind of home improvement type shows with a bit of fun, something to watch with the spouse or whatever when you're just having dinner. So check that out. Lastly, My Hero Academia. My son, it's something we've shared. I remember I recommended him, like, hey, you might like this, because he likes anime and manga. He's like, you might like this, but I think I might like it too because it's more hero centric. It's kind of like they don't do that with anime and manga, but this one is. So we've been watching it. So he's at college now. When he comes home on the weekend, we've been catching up. So and he makes me watch the subtitled version with the overacting voices and like, oh my God. Okay. And some of the storylines are ridiculous. He tends to like help me though, because he'll like, Dad, I'm not going to show you this episode because I know you'll hate it. So he kind of fills me in where we're at. But My Hero Academia is very fun, but it's also very serious at times. A lot of drama, a lot of melodrama. So, and I laughed. He's like, Dad, you're never going to guess what. I'm like, what? You know, when you thought this was going to be the last season? Nope. Like, what? So we're watching it. All of a sudden it says to be continued next season. So we're getting another season. It's very interesting if you like a different take on superheroes. It's very interesting. All the heroes are weird and wacky. They make no sense. It's really interesting, but there are some very cool moments, and it's a cool take on heroes and villains. It's kind of like 50-50 heroes and villains, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to see the My Hero Academia movie today. There's a new movie out that's basically
it came out already.
It's out right now. Yep. So we're going to see it today, which will be a lot of fun because we typically go see the anime movies like Demon Slayer, and then the latest was it Super Saiyan Broly. We saw that with Dragon Ball Z. So, and then we've seen 2 of the My Hero Academia movies. So it's something we share together, which is great. He's not into sports. He's into video games, but different video games than I am. He doesn't watch a lot of movies. He doesn't watch a lot of TV, a lot of YouTube though. So if you know your kids, you know your kids. So that's what I've been up to. So
awesome.
Hopefully everybody is enjoying that. All right. Well, we are done with the Geek Easy. We're going to skip out of here. Chris, distract them while we run out. We don't pay our check. And now we're going to go over to a place that's down under where Tina and the mutants are waiting for us to talk about a cool movie. And that's The Fury. Let's go. Hey, Secret Friends Unite. Let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained, and this week we're talking Shocktober Week 3, 1978's The Fury. I watched this on Max. You can too. This movie was directed by Brian De Palma, written by John Ferris, with music by John Williams.
Out of left field.
Chris, you got to watch Chris's face because we were like, John Williams did the music for this. Yes, he did. This is by 20th Century Fox. Came out March 10th, 1978. Budget of $7.5 million, made $24 million. So successful movie, including stars of Kirk Douglas, John Cassavetes. John Cassavetes is a director who was also in movies, like just would show up in movies as an actor. Very odd. Carrie Snodgrass, don't know her. Charles Durning, you'll know him when you see him. Amy Irving was in this. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that really stands out. Oh, Dennis Farina, the cop from NYPD Blue, was in this as a young cop. And I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that stands out. I was saying that Daryl Hannah has a small cameo in this film.
She does. Yeah, she's one of the students, right? Yeah.
Yep. Along with soap queen Melody Thomas, who's been on The Young and the Restless for about 40 years. Married to Victor Newman in that show. So that is kind of like the main acting staff of this. And the premise of this movie, it says a former CIA agent uses the talents of a young psychic to help retrieve his telekinetic son from a shadowy secret government agency. And folks, if you think that's the real plot, you'd be confused. You'd be very confused at this movie.
I was confused watching it.
So Clint and I and Chris are thinking, hey, this is going to be an interesting movie. The premise, it kind of has that cool 70s feel. The music's a little funky, a little different. I mean, the movie kicks off and they're in some Middle Eastern country at the beach. First, I thought I saw Kurt Russell and this guy come out of the water. I thought they were a couple.
Right.
That would never happen back then. Come on,
wrestling
now.
with each other
in short shorts. It's very odd, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I beat you." So they basically find out they're father and son on vacation with a friend who's wearing a suit while they're just at the beach swimming. Very odd. they go to eat, and they basically are saying apparently his son David is going to go back to the U.S. They've been abroad, and he's going to go to Chicago to go to school. So they're talking, and then they're going to order lunch. All of a sudden, this turns into like a weird, like, spy action film where these guys come on boats and they start coming into guns and they start shooting everywhere. Kirk Douglas hides. He's still in his tennis shoes and skivvies. His son and his buddy now are running away, and we see Kirk Douglas gets himself a machine gun because it falls through, starts killing people. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? This is not the movie. Am I watching the right movie? And then, this is the weird part. So Kirk Douglas is trying to take people out. His son gets taken away by his buddy to like save him. And his son is freaked out because like, oh my God, Dad. And then you see him Kirk Douglas get on a boat.
Yeah.
They blow up the boat, and that's it.
And
like,
70s fashion of just like, yes, bullets will blow up this rubber boat.
I mean, one part I did miss, his buddy, actually, you see that he's talking to the guys that shot him, so he knows he's been betrayed, and he shoots him in the arm, but we thought he was dead. I don't know. So that is the opening of this film. So folks, when you watch that, you're like, what is this movie?
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe the name of the movie is supposed to be how you're supposed to feel while you're watching this. Because
I have
that's
the theory.
I was like, what's going on? Why? Honestly, I thought this was a comedy. Dude, let's be honest. Like that's what it felt like. When you said this was supposed to be like a horror movie, I was like, where is this? Where is the horror in this?
This movie has a very weird tone. And Brian De Palma's a good director, right? You've got good actors. You've got John Williams, and you've got this very weird. It felt like a spy film or like an action spy film revenge movie. Yeah,
Sony's felt that well.
Yeah, it's based on a book too. This wasn't like someone came up with a harebrained scheme. This was like based on a book. Wow. So I'm just thinking the adaptation maybe is, I don't know much about the book. Maybe it's like this and it's just weird. But it's very interesting. So let's move on. We fast forward. Kirk Douglas is now living on the lam. He actually lived, and he is basically trying to find his son, but he's also hiding out in New York. I think was it New York?
I guess. So. No, I think it was Chicago, because what's her name?
Okay.
The psychic girl was from Chicago, and she's walking around Chicago. I don't know why, in a bikini when we first meet her, like with her friend, and they have to study
Chicago
for
Beach.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Great.
Okay, whatever. And then there was this character that apparently can read minds that then you hear nothing about later on.
Yeah.
Oh yes. That's the interesting part. So we find out that David has been kidnapped by some secret organization.
Oh, it's Robin, by the way.
Robin. Sorry, I think David. Kirk Douglas is trying to find him, and this is the part where it gets really weird. Like Kirk Douglas is going undercover, so they find him and they shoot at his try to kill him. He sneaks out again. He's in skivvies again. So he jumps into this apartment where this old couple is there with the grandma. And so he decides to hold him hostage. And then the grandma apparently falls in love with him. So
makes him a nice home cooked meal.
They tie up the family. And I can't remember I think the one guy, the guy in the family, he was like, he reminded me of someone like an actor that I should know.
I can't remember who. I think, you know who he reminds me of? The uncle from Home Alone.
Kind of, yeah. It could be him. Yeah, it could be him. Yeah. So while he's there, he decides he just needs food and clothes. So this is something that's unique for his disguise, because he already had kind of gray hair. He takes white shoe polish, Who has white shoe polish?
Dumps it in like this paper bowl and was like
Yeah.
a paintbrush is just putting it on. Like, what is going on?
Then he gets like a pillow for his big baggy clothes.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Let him go when I'm gone," to the grandma. And the grandma says, "Screw that! Other week, I'm going to keep him there till dawn."
Oh my God. That was, you know what the thing is, like, I will say there were some pretty cool shots that happened in this movie.
Yes.
But like, even like when I guess you haven't gotten to that part, so I'll let you talk about that. But like, yeah, like I think the editing in this movie was just horrible.
Oh, it was
Odd.
something.
It was
And
just so
the
weird.
writing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no.
So-
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, the writing was really bad too, Clint. But I was like, good Lord, like something had to give. Like you said, you got heavy hitters in this movie,
Yeah.
and it still kind of was like, what is going what's going on?
I mean, this is at the time of like practical effects. So we get then a sequence where you're introduced to Robin. They're walking. Let me go back to, we get to Gillian, who is, we're introduced to her in the beach, as you said, and there's a weirdo following them that apparently he can read her thoughts and know that she's psychic.
Yep.
I don't know. Was that a
Why
thing?
did they just use that guy then? Why did they go to the
Right?
girl?
And it was such a stereotypical like nerd creepy guy. Like
Yeah, kind of homeless looking too.
Yeah. He was like not missing teeth, but like it didn't look like he brushed his teeth or anything. It was like, what's going on?
No, it looked like he found some clothes in a gutter and decided to look like a professor.
it's all like
So-
greasy, just
So then he basically calls, says, "Oh, okay, I found this woman," to the bad guy who stole Robin away. So he's like, "Oh, you got to get her." So we then turn to Gillian at school, where she goes to a school with a lot of jerky girls who are mean and nasty to each other. But she decides to go to like psychic class at the school, where all of a sudden, like, we're with the Paragon, or was it the Paragon?
Yeah,
School.
Paragon Institute. Yeah.
Paragon Institute. Yeah.
So we're going to do a test to see if you can use your psychic abilities and to run a train. And all of a sudden, Gillian says, like, "I'm game. I can do this." And this train, it just starts going insane, and she starts getting blood. I'm like, there's like no build up to this. It's just like all of a sudden she just
the train
So
goes
weird.
crazy, and that one shot when the train does go off was so dramatic, and the music was loud. It was like John Williams' best piece when that train went flying off. What is
I thought the
going
train
on?
was going to like hit somebody in the head and like take off their head or something.
Right.
Yeah. Oh boy. So then we basically find that she has abilities, and this is interesting, and she doesn't know what's happening. And then she runs into her friends at lunch. This doesn't go well. This is not how you make friends, folks. You do not reveal your friend is pregnant or pseudo friend.
Yeah.
You make her bleed. Doesn't go well. Does not go well. I mean, they're like frenemies or whatever. It's like Heather's times 12. So at this point, Gillian's having a bad day. But then the one woman, the nurse that was there from the Paragon Society, talks to her and basically says, "I'm going to recruit you." And so they get recruited. She gets recruited to the Paragon school. And that's where we get Gillian's journey into the world of psychic powers and abilities. But folks, this is where that all connects.
Does it?
Connects.
This is where it all connects.
Eric.
Putting the pieces together. This is the genius of this film. We find out that Kirk Douglas is secretly dating the nurse at the Paragon Institute. I mean,
God.
wouldn't you want to date him? I mean, he's so fancy with his crappy apartment and his van. Wasn't it? No, she had the van.
Yes,
Shoe
that's
polish
right.
hair.
Shoe polish hair.
So you find out that they're together, but I think I skipped ahead. You find out while Kirk Douglas is trying to escape with his great disguise, he decides to talk to some undercover cops in a brand new Cadillac.
Oh my
Undercover.
God, that's right.
He starts talking to him and pulls out his gun, gets in the car, and then tells them to drive. The bad guys are watching everywhere. They see this happen, and then they start a very slow chase in Chicago. In the foggiest part of town, which I couldn't tell. Where was this like chase scene at? Was it like a
Silent.
was it like a sea yard or something?
Maybe.
It's so foggy. Can we
Yeah.
also just mention the awesome code names that they had? Like, this is Chase 1 to Chase 2. Like,
Yes.
for the bad guys following them.
Top Guy 1 to Top Guy 2.
Yes.
Then they're like, hey, asshole 1 and asshole 2. I was like, all right, that worked. That was great.
That was good.
And I loved it too because there's like 4 vehicles chasing them in the Cadillac. They're going really slow, but they end up in this like dockyard that's so foggy. I mean, like foggy like you couldn't believe. The first time we know hijinks is going to happen when the one car in front stops and the other car just hits them and goes, "Hey, don't hit us!" And then they think they see him, Kirk Douglas, driving around, and they break out their like AK-47s or whatever and start just shooting everywhere. And by the time, Dennis Farina is basically not Dennis Farina. God, what's his name? Guy from NYPD Blue. I'm going to blank on his name. What is his name?
I don't know which one.
I will think of it. Dennis Franz. That's who it is. Dennis Franz. That's who it is, the cop. Basically, they start driving around and they use their lights occasionally. And all of a sudden, the bad guys just start spraying bullets at who they think is them. It ends up being their buddies, kills them all. It's just like it's like a goofy hijinks. Like, oh, I didn't know I did that. So this is the part. And then so basically they end up all getting taken care of, surprisingly enough. I mean, it was amazing how they took out all these bad guys.
Oh my God.
But then, I mean, what happens next? Because, I mean, this part was pretty funny because Kirk Douglas, you think, oh, he's going to be nice to these cops. What happens then?
He like drives it. Well, he's going to steal it from what it's assumed like he's going to steal it. And then he's like, oh, tell Childress to come after me. I want him to come after me. And he like takes off. But then the next shot is the car driving into the lake. And I'm like, what? How is he going to?
And he went into the lake. Why did he go in the lake?
How does he want him to follow him? I don't understand.
I mean, he could have just put a cinder block on the gas pedal and he didn't have to go in the water. Then you fast forward, he's on the phone, and who is he calling? The sexy nurse. And what does he say to her? Like, it's me, baby. It's me. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That whole thing.
God.
He's just breathing heavy.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, yeah. Oh, my God.
And then, like, after breathing heavy for like a minute, she's like, oh, yeah. Oh.
This guy.
Yeah, she's like, first she's like, oh, can't you bother somebody else? I mean, it's my boyfriend calling me.
God.
Yep. And then she picks him up in her love van with a mattress in the back. And, she couldn't resist that shoe polish hairdo. So this is where it all comes together. We find out that finally Jillian is now in this in the Paragon Institute, and basically it's like she's living her best life. She's having pizza parties. She's getting ice cream sundaes. She's just having the best time of her life, playing with a dog with a frisbee. And we get the first knowledge of something has gone wrong and something where Robin is involved, where the professor touches her.
Yeah, I think she was falling. She was falling and she grabbed
going
him.
up the stairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She's kind of like almost like Rogue, because she does the same thing when she's touching someone at the luncheon where she's, oh, you're pregnant, and then whenever she touches somebody, they like start bleeding out of
Start
every
bleeding, yeah.
orifice or something.
Yeah.
So she gets the flashback of what happened to Robin, where we see Robin is in this institute. We still don't know a lot about Robin, to be honest. Like, he had his opening sequence. He was kidnapped, and then now we're seeing a flashback where he's involved, where he's getting chased by the institute members, and he goes out a window. So I'm like, is he dead?
You're right.
What happened? So essentially at this point, Gillian gets freaked out. Now she's really nervous, and they know something is up, so they decide to drug her. I believe that's the next part, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so she's basically not basically in charge of her senses, and she's going through the training and everything like that, and then we get more flashbacks about Robin. And then did you guys find it interesting that the way the movie went, I felt like there was I was waiting for a turn, and I don't know earlier, I guess, because I think we were halfway through before we had anything really supernatural or
Right.
Yeah.
happen.
It was, yeah. Because way back in the beginning. Oh, can we go back to the fact that
Yes. Of course we can.
at the beginning of this movie, they have these terrorists that are going to kill, Kirk Douglas and his son.
Yes.
But they were fake, and I guess they were
filming it.
Yeah, they were filming it, and they were part of this institute. And so the whole thing was supposed to be a fake thing, but these people were actually getting shot. They were getting killed. Yes. So they signed up to get killed. Well,
I think they probably didn't they didn't sign up to get killed.
But it was just I was wait, they knew that all they were trying to do is separate the father from his son. And
yes, all
they had to do was just use blanks or whatever. I get maybe some of them had to use real weapons to show that they were legit, but I don't know. It was just really weird. What the hell is going on? I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
You didn't see the brilliance of the plan?
Because he kindly, when he's at the beginning there at the table with his son, he's telling him he's going to a special school or something, but it's not anything
you're gonna love it there. Yeah, girls football. There's no football. Sports. There's no football at Paragon Institute. Come on, Clint. There's no football team.
They don't. I don't think. I think they were making a spy movie for half of it, and then we're you know what? Let's throw something. Let's throw a curveball.
Just forget it.
Well, we found 2 scripts. There's not enough for one movie, so let's combine them.
God,
it works. It works. Just every other page is from the different script. It goes together really well.
That actually makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
So we essentially, we start learning though that through Kirk Douglas and Sexy Nurse that we find out this Paragon Institute is doing these horrible experiments, which quite honestly we don't see much of anything beyond the flashbacks. Right. We don't have any other students to see how bad this is. We do see the students, but they're kind of all doing guess the card, things like that. They're not doing So I think that was part of the problem. We really didn't get enough background, enough reason to hate this organization or what they're doing to everybody that makes them horrible, how they're being used, what the plan of this organization was. That I think really is what the problem was, right? They need an extra half hour, maybe.
Oh my God! Or they just cut.
It wasn't enough information.
Or just cut the ice cream eating scenes, or so many so many unnecessary scenes for what they were trying to get to. I was what is going on?
Or so many Kirk Russell how much time did it take him to do things? His weird approach to being a super spy that he was.
We didn't need to see him put on the shoe polish. Just move on.
Have that awesome scene with Grandma. Come on.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Well, here we go. So
take care of your ticker, sweetheart.
Yep. So we are getting more and more flashbacks of Robin. Gillian goes to a room, sees that's where Robin was being held, kind of being being, I guess, trained in a lot of ways, or just
That was a
being
cool scene.
subverted.
That was a cool scene, actually.
From her, from his viewpoint,
Right.
she's looking through that viewpoint. Yeah, that was like the first time we're like, oh, okay, something weird is going on here.
Yeah.
So we do see that, and then eventually we do get the fact that the nurse is talking to Gillian and basically saying, hey, I can help you escape. Things are bad here, but you can't take your medicine, but you got to pretend like it. So then we get an interesting scene where the nurse tells everybody, I'm going to go do a run to the post office.
Even that took so long.
You have any packages for me? Yeah, let me get some from the back.
Like a whole Amazon
let me sign
truck
this
worth of
one.
packages.
I didn't do my tracking form. And then she's like talking to the caregiver, and like she's got her packages up there. She drops it, and that, like you said, Chris, pacing was all over the place. It's like
wild.
I don't get it. I don't get this movie at all.
No,
like you said, like the synopsis or the plot line or whatever log line was really intriguing. Like it sounded like a really cool idea, and like they just went, nah, I'm not gonna do this. Let's just do something else. Like what?
We could do that, or we could do this.
Yeah, and the fact that De Palma like basically just came off of Carrie as well. Like,
right?
This is what we got after Carrie. Like,
Yeah. He's like, I can do no wrong. You know what we tried in Carrie? Let's do all these are all my ideas that were supposed to be in Carrie. I'm going to put them in another movie.
Pretty much.
So we move on. So we basically get Gillian escaping. Basically kicked the packages at the old lady. She falls down. Gillian escapes in a nightgown. Perfect. Yep. And then Kirk Douglas is there to save her. We get this running scene, and then hijinks. I don't know how this even happened. Kirk Douglas pulls out his gun to shoot the guy pursuing them. Where does the car go?
Right into the.
Where does the car go?
Right into Hester. Poor Hester.
Poor Hester. Yeah, sexy nurse with her sexy van. With this, I mean, bad choices, right? Yeah. Like that's the guy she's gonna date.
So you know what? I will appreciate though that they had him. I mean, okay, whatever in terms of pacing, but I appreciated that he mourned for her. I feel like a lot of times in these kind of movies, they just kind of like, oh, she's dead anyway, and it's just like move on to the next thing. And like there was some moment like where you could see that the character was feeling bad about it, and he's like, oh, she's the best woman I've had ever since my wife died. And it's like, okay. Thanks, but
we had a future together. Us in that sexy van going cross country with Gillian and Robin.
But like, oh God. Anyway,
so he does save Gillian. They drive away. Then they decide to get in a bus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take the bus to the real Paragon headquarters.
And this is like I don't think I missed anything, but like this is the first time they meet, talk, anything.
Yeah.
And she's instantly like hugging him and just like we're best friends.
He gave her alcohol. First of all, that was
the edge off.
She gave her alcohol, and then so if I'm understanding this correctly, she's supposed to be like 16 or 17, maybe
high school, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like, and so is his son. He said his son's like the same age or whatever, if I recall. So
probably college age, yeah.
So just keep that in mind because Todd, keep going with this plot. This is where I think it's weirder. But go on.
Now, this is where I'm trying to remember. How did he get her some clothes?
Oh, that's
because she was in the nightgown, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he had clothes in the taxi cab. I don't know.
Maybe.
With his shoe polish, like he had something.
He's like, how do you feel about white hair? I can hook you up.
Stole some out of the.
I've got a plan. We got to go back. We got to go back, talk to Grandma to get some more. Come back. The couple's dead. They died. Grandma never. She never died.
Fell down, broke a hip, so they all died.
Oh yeah. No. Oh my goodness! I waited for you. Well, that's a side piece. Kirk's side piece. Now that Hester's gone. Oh well, we end up getting on the bus, we get a good moment with Kirk like crying and breaking down, and Gillian is like trying to, console him, and everything's good after the alcohol is shared, which is great because she's underage. Then she falls asleep, and now Kirk Douglas has gotten off the bus because he's leaving her. He's going to take care of this without her, even though
the whole plan
I guess
did
they need her?
yeah, exactly. Nope, it's me. I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to walk over there, and well. The funny part is she tries stopping him. And this is the part that really... You want to tell us about this part, Chris? This is great.
He just smacks her in the face, right?
I couldn't believe
He's like, get a hold of yourself, woman. He just like slaps her. And just
I was like, wow, this really is a movie from the 70s.
The bus driver is like... He's like... They finally make up and the bus driver's like, oh, go on. Like, okay. Guess you figured it out. Yeah.
The smack was so over the top and out of nowhere. I was like, wait a minute. I was like,
that's Kirk Russell actually really struck her, and for effect. What we used to do back in the days on Spartacus. So they end up finally. This is where it all comes together, folks. So we're talking like an hour and 15 minutes in. Waiting for something horrific to really happen.
Oh my God.
So we do get to the compound. Robin, at this point, we find out, though, we get a little backstory that he is basically out of control. The amount of drugs they're giving him isn't working anymore. He's just angry about everything. He's pole vaulting for some reason.
That was like, I need to show some sort of strength or something that I need to do. Pole vaulting. That's what I'm going to do.
Not even like something to do with the mind, like moving a car or something. Nope, pole vaulting.
Nope,
okay.
pole vault. Yep. That's one of the side effects. He's always wanted to be in the Olympics. In the meantime, though, because he's been so angry, then one of the teachers, somebody, becomes basically his lady friend.
Yeah.
Which is odd too, because I guess he can only be seduced to calm himself down. But Robin goes like from 0 to 70 unhinged.
Yeah. To like only seeing through Robin's eyes, not even knowing him, to basically like, this is the love of my life almost type of thing.
Yes.
Like we've never met, but you're the only person that we can be together.
And Jill, and he can, and Robin can feel Jillian, and so he's like, "This woman's after me." I'm like, "Wow!" So it's very weird because it just gets a little funky because the woman that Robin is with, he gets jealous because we forgot about this. This is before they went to the zoo or the park or the amusement center.
Oh my God.
This part was crazy because they're like, oh, he's off hinge. He needs some time to relax. He needs time. So she takes him to there. He sees Arabic people. Flashback to the Arabic people because they're all bad, He sees them on what is it? What is that
like
ride?
A whirl or something, whatever.
Yeah,
it is there.
I guess kind of like a fast
and
Ferris
mind
wheel
you, it's inside a warehouse.
Yeah. Before the Mall of America, we had the warehouse escape.
Oh my God.
So Robin's kind of upset because of, he sees his girlfriend with these guys are just talking, gets ultimately jealous, and he's going walking through. Now you see his abilities to like zap electricity and do things. And then he sees the people on the tilt-a-whirl, these Arabic guys who they're on the ride, but then there's Arabic guys eating dinner and waving at them. And all of a sudden you see the ride just go really, really fast, and you see like a bolt get untwisted. And then the one ride shoots off into the hotel. But it didn't look that bad, though. It didn't look like it was going that fast.
Yeah, it'll be all right in the morning.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's airbags on that thing. So this is where Robin is, you finally seeing being unhinged. So, and I think did this happen? So Kirk Douglas and Jillian show up at the compound. They try to sneak in. It doesn't go very well.
No.
Like literally one handgun with 6 bullets. That's it. And Gillian against like 25 people. I mean, not a great plan. I mean,
no, not at all.
I mean, he needed the A-team or somebody to help him out. I mean, but nobody. So they get caught. And then we find out that Robin is still not recovered from his being jealous of his girlfriend. And this is the first really horrific scene we get.
Yeah.
Robin takes her into the room, closes the door, and, you know, he complains about the woman in his head. And then he finally, I mean, Clint, tell us what happens.
This was probably one of the coolest parts of the movie. Where he like basically they get in an argument. He's pushing her around, and she gets on the floor, and he's like, "Get up!" And she's like, "No, no." And then with like the force, basically lifts her up standing, and then lifts her up, and then he just he gets like the W vein in his forehead that just like,
God, yeah, I thought he was gonna have a stroke.
God, it reminded me of my science teacher in 8th grade when he got mad. So she just starts like spinning around super fast, like the tilt-a-whirl, and then just like the blood just starts coming out of her because she's coming apart from moving around so fast. And it's just like painting the room red.
God,
it's crazy. So that we have the first real scene. Well, obviously he killed the people on the thing, but you get to start seeing that he is not controllable,
right?
And then we see Jillian and Kirk Douglas getting interrogated, and we see that Jillian is going to basically be taken over by the organization, trained, and that's where Robin shows up, like he's flying or hovering because Kirk Douglas is looking for him. He looks around, and then he gets angry at his dad for some reason. Doesn't recognize him or thinks he's fake. I don't know.
I don't know. It's so weird.
Yeah.
He just went full like Darth Vader into like 30 seconds. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I guess he's concerned that they're going to replace Robin. Robin's going to be replaced by Jillian. So he's now schizoid. Robin is thrown out the window. Oh my God. This part's crazy because they're fighting, everything. Robin gets thrown out the window. Kirk Douglas tries to save him.
Grab my jacket.
And then he's like scratches his face
to let him go.
Yeah.
And Robin dies. So Kirk Douglas also dies. So that was fun.
Can't take it.
I mean, in literally 10 minutes at the end of this movie is where anything actually really happens.
Right.
Yes.
And then he and Robin have a psychic contact with Gillian and Robin have like a psychic contact. So at that point, we don't know. His eyes glow. So maybe part of his personality or powers have transferred to her.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know.
That was very confusing too. Yeah.
Yep.
And then this is where the movie ends. So we have Jillian waking up at the Institute. Childress essentially talks to her, tries to console her. That does not go well because it gets a little creepy once again. Then this is where we get to see Jillian actually do something kind of offensive, where Jillian and Childress, she essentially blinds Childress. He can't see her.
Yeah.
He's trying to take her down. And then she essentially, this is where it gets crazy because this is where we talk about editing. One of the best edited scenes ever.
Yeah.
She uses her full-on ability and makes him explode, kind of like Scanners, but not as gruesome, but a little bit more pyrotechnic too. Like he's got like electronics inside him because there's like an explosion.
There is like an explosion.
It's so funny because, I mean, how many cuts of the explosion were shown?
There had to have been like 8. It was crazy. It was like top, every side, diagonal,
left cut, right cut, top cut, down cut.
It's like we only got this much money to do this. Let's get it right.
Let's get it right. Yep. Oh my God.
Yeah. Ugh.
So that's where the movie ends.
That's it. That's it.
It ends.
That's
Some
it.
guy gets blown up. The end. What?
Okay, here it is. In the interview with the Talks, De Palma said that he had 8 or 9 high-speed cameras to film Cassavetes exploding.
Oh my God. That's ridiculous.
Wow. That could have been cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how Jillian escapes, what happens with her. But this movie felt like a whole bunch of nothing. Like, it all came down to it.
It
We
really
don't
was.
know what the government was doing with Robin. Like, was he going to go on missions and do Psy-Core things?
Yeah, there's no. I mean, they left it open to make a sequel, but clearly it didn't.
Like, I mean, I thought like the whole Paragon is. I was like, oh, cool. They're kind of going through like this X-Men thing or whatever. It's like, I was like, well, maybe we'll see other kids that are like that have the abilities. And it's like, nope, these are the only two, and the other creepy guy. But we won't talk about him anymore. And it's like, what? Like, okay.
Okay. So I'm sorry for this pick, but it was entertaining to talk about.
Oh no, it's an entertainment, and it will be a memory for sure in the best of ways. Yeah, and not only there was just some crazy lines in this movie as well, just like randomly, like when he's in the two officers where he hijacks the car and he's like telling them what happened, and they're like, "Oh, well, what did you do?" And he's like, "I shot Childress in the arm and I killed his arm." I'm like, "What? Killed his arm?" I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Okay," or like.
Kirk Douglas.
The day my arm died.
Yeah. It's like, right?
So good.
It was.
So at this point, I mean, it was a movie of the 70s, practical effects. I did enjoy some of it, but yes, this was definitely not Brian De Palma's best effort. And Kirk Douglas, wow. I kind of felt like bad for him, Oscar winner. John Williams, though, Clint, like you said, his best work ever.
I was because I saw the trailer first, and I was like, "Oh boy, I'm in for it." And then I started watching it, and it was that clarinet, like at the beginning, with 2 high notes, 2 low notes, and then it came on with Brian De Palma, and I was like, "Okay, maybe there's something here." And then John Williams, and I was like, "What?" And then afterwards, I looked on the wiki for it, and there was a person. Film critic Pauline Kael highly lauded the music composed and conducted by John Williams, calling it as apt and delicately varied a score as any horror movie has ever had. Forget about Jaws, apparently. And,
Star Wars.
No.
So I was just like, what? Oh, my God. I'm just... go ahead.
The Fury, 80% tomato meter.
That's a lot.
Audience score 49%.
Wait, what? The critics?
Chris.
Oh my God.
30 reviews.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Brian De Palma reins in his stylistic flamboyance to eerie effect in The Fury, a telekinetic slow burn that rewards patient viewers with its startling set pieces.
So there might be hope for us, though. So I'm reading the synopsis of the book, and at the end of the book, it actually looking at the synopsis of the book, the movie actually stayed pretty close to the source material.
What?
Oh my God.
But except at the end, Gillian kills Childress by just drowning him. And at the end, it says, in the aftermath, Gillian resolves to gain control over her abilities as she awaits for her parents and the authorities to find her. Now, this book came out in 1976.
Oh.
The writer wrote sequels starting in 2001 and 2003 and 2008. There's 3 more. So there could be hope. We could see.
I guess he's like, more. Well, I mean, time for that sequel money finally.
Right? Like, oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah. There's only 2 negative reviews. No, 3 for this movie out of the critics.
How?
Crazy.
What?
3 out of 30. Man.
I mean, those production companies must have been dropping money left and right for these critics.
Kirk Douglas said he was going to knock him in the face or slap him if they didn't give him a good review.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, well, that is the movie, gentlemen. Before we go, give this film a score out of 10 bottles of white shoe polish.
God, that scene was fantastic. Oh, man. I gotta give it like a 5, I guess, just for the fun factor of it, of just the absolute craziness of it. Like, It was a bad film, but it's a bad film that I will remember. Like, I won't see that film. So I have to give it some points just for that, I guess.
Oh my god. Well, you Clint were very generous, I feel. I'm giving this a 3. And I agree with you. Like, there were definitely moments in this movie that were cool. I thought that some of the shots were really cool. Like, they did, like when they were in the van and then they parked up in that parking lot and they did that kind of match cut from the night to the morning. I was like, oh,
yeah.
That's pretty cool. And then like also when when Gillian is like going through that memory of Robin running through the institute, like it was like she was standing in like a theater and like watching it. And I thought that was a really cool scene too. So it's like there was like definitely parts of this movie that were really like had potential, and it just fell short in like everything though, and it was so disappointing. And again, like Brian De Palma and John Williams is in this, and
it's crazy.
Wow, like
Spartacus and Spartacus.
Spartacus, like it's just fascinating how this movie got as good of ratings back in the day. I'm curious if people watched it now and been like, yeah, I agree with them.
We brought back all these old critics to re-review it. That'd be amazing. Well, I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5, or 4.5 out of 10. But once again, the pacing, one of the worst paced films I've ever seen.
Definitely.
The lack of congruence with what was the end game of this. What was the overall threat? I mean, if this was paced correctly, it would have been evenly paced with the Paragon Institute, with Robin. What's going on? What is he being trained for? All these other things, and how maybe he was used in a mission or something to actually say, why does the government even care? But at this point, this is like, did they ask me, like a toddler, Todd at 3 years old, give us a plot of a movie? Probably.
Yeah, the fact that it was almost 2 hours long and you didn't get any information. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It was like you said, like Clint, like it was like the last half hour was like basically when the movie started.
Yeah. And just remember, folks, this is not Fury, the Tom Cruise film, or the Brad Pitt film. This is The Fury.
The Fury.
So don't confuse them, because that's a World War II film. Oh, well, that is our podcast, folks. Thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed this movie. Check it out if you dare. Actually, if you're good for a laugh, check it out. It's available on Max. Watch it now. With that, Chris, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me on, and this was fun. Clint, glad to chat with you about this movie. It was just some craziness for sure. You can find me on Threads and Twitter or X or whatever at TC1H1D. I'll post some stuff every once in a while, and yeah, my podcast 1 Hour 1 Decision drops episodes every Wednesday night, and most recently, we just did a episode about the game Spirit Tea, and talked about that. Yeah, it was a interesting game. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing now. So thanks again, Todd.
Excellent. Clint, where can people find you?
As Chris said, thank you so much for this opportunity, because this was, like I said, this is a memory that I won't soon forget. So
you're welcome.
I also love, these old terrible movies. I am a fan of them just because there's nothing else like them. So this is definitely a blast to be able to talk to it with other people. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. But you can find me usually over on Threads at Ryuketsu2043 or at Spreading the Nerd with me and my co-host over there. We usually try to come out once a week with just some random nerdness to talk about, usually games, movie stuff, but definitely check us out over that way.
Absolutely. Thank you two again for being on. It was a blast, having a good time talking about the stuff we love. You can follow me at Toxtra, at Secret Friends Unite on the Threads, on Instagram. DM us on Instagram if you have a question, want to be on the show. Let us know. Check out our Discord. Check out our Patreon for all the cool stuff we do. You get it free first and ad free. So with that, gentlemen, I want to say thank you. Remember, be the hero, not the villain.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.